Actually, before going to the next topic, okay. So, yesterday we were talking about access modifiers, right? Access specifiers, like private, public, and all. Okay. So let us see, a couple of example, okay, which I already have it. Private one and protected one. Okay. Okay. So if you see here, okay, I have a class called data. Okay. In the data, can somebody confirm, is my voice is clear and it is.
Yeah, it is clear.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So yeah, I have a class called data, and in the data, so I have a data member which is declared as a private. Okay. And there are certain methods like getter and setters. Okay. So I have another class in the same, okay. So I have another class, and in the another class, actually, I have one data member private, and I have void main. I'm using the void main, to create a, object of data. So which is the other class, whatever we have it. And I have created an object for it, data d equals to new data. And when I call like d dot name, okay, so when it is d dot name, do you see any error over there? Okay, I'm trying to do d dot name equals to program is right. I wanted to add that string, to the name variable. Okay, so it is not allowing me to, add, sorry, assign something, to that data member. Why? Because it is, so if you mouse over here, what was the error that you see? The field data dot name is not visible. Okay. Why it is not visible? Because it has an access specifier, like, saying that private for that data member. So when we say the private, actually the access level will be restricted to within the class. Okay. So I'm trying to retrieve that, out of the class d dot name is equals to some, right? So then how to resolve these issues, right? You wanted to set some values, for the private variables which are there in the data class. So we have another way that we used to do it from the setters and getters. Okay, so I already have a setter over here, and instead of calling d dot name, what we do, we call, d dot set name some value. Okay, and as you set it, and if you wanted to retrieve that one, okay, d dot get name. Okay. Now just click on run. What is this? What is this? Okay, let me take that one later. Okay. Okay. Now let me run this. Yeah, this is okay. Java private access. Okay. Okay. So it is asking me to fix that error only. Java private access. Yeah. So if you see here, this is what we set it actually. And the setting, whatever you set that value, you are able to get it using the get name method. Okay. So this is called the private access. Okay. Private scope, whatever you see in the classes. Okay. Now let's go to the protect. Okay. For protect, I think you guys already know how to extend a class. Okay. We just saw an example when we are learning inheritance. Okay. So extends is the keyword that you utilized you know to extend your classes. Okay. So class anim, this is what my main parent class. I have it. I have a method protected void display, and this is my class. Okay. Protect access, which is extending the anim method, and I have a public static void main, and I'm just creating an object of product access, and directly with the object of protect access. Okay. I'm trying to utilize the method which was declared as a protected. Do you think it will run? Let's see. See, manual. Okay. So it is running. But if you try to run it outside, so you guys remember, right? Protected is kind of we can use it. Okay, protected is used whenever we have a kind of inheritance situation in our classes. Okay, so it can be it can be written as sorry it can be written as like the protected on before the data member, or data or the function whatever you are using. So whatever the declared variable, right, or data member, which is only accessible in the extended classes. Okay, so yeah, which is only accessible in the extended classes. Okay, so and here I just accessed it. So with whatever we got it, we got that I am an animal. So this is what the display whatever we got it in the execution. Okay, so this is just a basic example between private and protected. Okay, so let me go back to the PPT and we'll continue the next one. Okay, so what is overloading, right? Overloading is also very simple. Okay, it doesn't have anything much complex, related things. One second. Okay, you see there on the top of the image, actually it shows like we are just adding more boxes and boxes and boxes. Okay, so what is overloading, right? you know uh, Overloading is when two or more methods in a class have a same name. Okay, so generally in case of real-time example, okay, whenever you see persons who are working in office, okay, they might be having a same name, right? So what we do, instead of same name, we combinedly call with their last name and first name, right, to identify that individual. Correct. So overloading is also like quite very similar. Okay, whatever we are doing it in a general way. So let's say if you have addition of a number, method. Okay, that addition of member, addition of two members. Okay, is first method whatever we have it, and if I wanted to do addition of three members, what we will do? We will again write one more extra method with the same name and all, and but the parameter will be different. Okay, instead of two parameters, actually we are going to take three parameters, and combinedly we are going to give that three number sum results back to the client, right? So this is this is the example of overloading. Okay, yeah, as I mentioned, right, I just took an example of addition of two members. Okay, so overloading prevents us from writing multiple methods which perform the same task. So we can just overload that methods and manipulate the type of parameters so that they can accept. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so we have a class called main. Okay, and inside it we have one more method, don't overload me. Okay, and public static void main, I'm just calling that don't overload me. Okay, and i'm printing I'm printing one of the variable, that whatever parameter which we have it on the uh, you know uh, using system.out.println. Okay, so if you clearly observe here, so the two methods in this class are having same name: public static void don't overload me, public static void don't overload me. So what is the difference that you guys see? It is only the parameter that we are passing it in the second method. Okay. Yeah, parameter that we are passing it in the second method. Okay. So this is called method overloading. Okay. So it is a similar kind of functionality, but there are, like, some changes that we are doing it in the in this. Okay. Okay. So if you see here, function overloading, actually when it can be described, right? Overloading, can be achieved, can be checked at the compile time itself. Okay. So the compiler will help you to understand the sorry, overloading concept. Okay, the compiler will take care of it. Okay, when you call a method, it checks for the parameters passed in it, if any, accordingly executes the respective method. Okay, so let us call, one of the method that we are trying to overload it. Okay, so what is the method that we are trying to overload? We are trying to overload is, don't overload me. So what will be the output if I call this don't overload me? Okay, so the output is only the system.out.println and whatever we got it here. Okay. Yeah, similarly, I'm using another method which I wanted to call. Okay, so I just wanted to call that don't load me. Okay, don't overload me, using uh, we were calling the second method because we were using a parameter, to pass it to there. So this is how, we call the function, for sorry, this is how we call the polymorphic, sorry, yeah, what is this, method overloading, sorry. Okay, so this is what we call it as method overloading. And for the same type of operation, if we are having multiple combinations, okay, so we can achieve that, using method overloading. Okay. Yeah, now it comes for the overriding. Okay, it is similar, like, in the real time, actually, we usually have some nicknames. Okay, so even though you have a very good name, actually sometimes, we override, we will not use that the regular name. Instead of that, we generally use our nicknames to call, right? Yeah. And sometimes situations are different. You are, like, not able to call the entire name of the persons. So because of that, we will cut it and, make it very easy, to call them, right? So that is what, like, the so that is the real time, like, whenever you are using a pick name, sorry, risk, what is it, nickname, in the being of identity for the same individual. Okay, so overriding aligns perfectly, with the above example. So what exactly it does, right? So when two or more methods in the separate class having a child parent relationship between them will have the same name and also the same parameters. Okay, So, but the two methods are not written in the same class. The method which overrides the previous one in the, the previous one, and it is written in the child class. Okay. The method which overrides the previous one is written in a child class. Okay. This enables us, to provide specification while implementing the same function in a child class. Okay, so we already learned like about child class and inheritance. So it is important that to note overriding takes place when a method declared in the parent class is rewritten in a child class with the same parameters. Okay, so let's see an example of overriding. So yeah, there is a class parent class, and there is a class child class which is extending parent class. Okay, and we have the same method, public void old method, and we were having different type of logic, in the parent and in the child. Okay. Okay, so if you see here, I have a parent class which is having a old method, and I have a child class which extended parent class, and which I'm having one more old method which is overridden basically. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I'm just creating an object, okay, in the main, saying that, okay, parent class obj1 is equals to new child class. Okay, what we're trying to do, we were creating an object reference, of the parent class. Okay, obj1 is equals to new child class. Okay, child class. What is the child class? Child class is this one. Okay, so which is extending the parent class. So now what I'm doing with the creation of this object obj1, I'm just calling dot old method. So can you guess, like, which method is going to be called? Is it from the parent or is it from the class child?
Child class.
Yeah, that is correct. Like, because we were creating a reference of, we are creating an object of the child class, and which is assigned to the parent class. Okay, so that is why we were able to see the output as from the child class. Okay, so just guess actually what is the output of this one. Okay, so to explain this, I have a class called main, and I have overloaded two methods. Okay, one is don't overload me with empty parameters, and don't overload me with one parameter. Okay, and so what we're doing, we're just calling don't overload me. So which method will be getting executed, and what is the output? Okay, that's correct. Okay, not to me. Yeah, because what we're doing here, we're just calling don't overload me as a method which is having a single parameter. What is a single parameter? String new. So system.out.println not you plus the string that we are passing it. So not you, me. Okay, so it printed this. Yeah, which of the following statements are correct? Okay, with the respect of overriding. Okay, can you just go through and just give me like what are all the what are all the options that are correct? Okay, just give me in the chat. That should be enough. Just giving one more minute so that we'll go for the next question. Okay, so it is overriding. Okay, just read one more time. Okay, so just to reiterate, okay, so the overloading is whenever you are having a single method, okay, sorry, whenever within a class, if you see a same name and different parameters, okay, in the same class, we call it as, okay, overloading. So when it comes to the overriding, the method is there in the the parent class with the same name and with the same parameters. If you see the same method in the child class, which we call it as overriding. Okay, so what exactly this this certifies, right? One of this option. So overriding is having two or more methods with the same name and different parameters. No, this is not. It is overloading, right? So the second one, the methods are written in the same class. No, this is not overloading. Okay, because overloaded methods are written in the same class, not override. Okay, so the third one, the method which overrides the previous one is written in a child class. Yes, this looks very similar. Okay, and the second one is overriding is having two methods which the same method name and parameters. This looks similar. Okay, so let's see the answer 3 and 4. That is correct. Okay, yeah, to summarize, right, what is overloading? The overloading is when two or more methods in a class have the same name but different parameters. We call it as overloading. And overloading prevents us from writing multiple methods which performs the same task. Okay, and overriding is when two or more methods in the class have the same name and same parameters. Okay, the method which overrides the previous one is written in a child class. So now let us go to the what is polymorphism. Okay, so if you clearly observe that the literal meaning of a polymorphism is having a different forms and shapes. Okay, so in the real life example, okay, the polymorphism can be the moon as viewed from Earth. Okay, so the property of moon, right, to have a different shapes, like phases of the moon. Okay, so in the object-oriented programming, polymorphism is a way to perform a single action in different ways. Okay, so what is exactly this, right? In Java, polymorphism can be viewed as, okay, can be viewed as the capability of the methods to do different things based upon the object that is acting. Okay, so I think this sounds very similar to whatever we discussed about overloading and also the overriding, right? So let's see, go ahead and see what exactly it is. Method overloading. Okay. So method overloading is falls under the polymorphism. Okay. So if method overloading is a type of polymorphism, then what about method overriding? Yes, method overriding is also allow, in the which falls under polymorphism. Okay. But okay, any guesses what is polymorphism? Yeah, once again, my system got stuck. Okay, so it is 3, right? That's correct. Okay, so now what is right? What is polymorphism? We have two types of polymorphisms. One is static and another one is dynamic. So when you say static, okay, so static is, like, I'm gonna explain that, but static is called as for method overloading, and dynamic will be covered under method overriding. Okay, so what is static polymorphism? Static polymorphism, also known as compile time polymorphism, it is achieved through method overloading. Okay, so at compile time, Java knows, okay, which method to be invoked by checking the method signatures. Thus, it is known as compile time polymorphism. Okay, so we have this overloading example which we have already discussed. Okay, so every method overloading operation, right? Ultimately is a polymorphism, just like the above one. Okay, so it is like you have two methods which having a different parameters. Okay, so this is called static polymorphism. Okay, in case of dynamic polymorphism, the method is called to determined at. Okay, so yeah, let me cover this one. Okay, I skipped one of the page. Okay, so what is dynamic polymorphism? So whereas dynamic polymorphism, or which is called as runtime polymorphism also, is achieved through method overriding. So in case of method overriding, the method to call is determined at runtime. That is known as runtime or dynamic polymorphism. So when you write something, some code, okay, the compile time actually it is achieved by method overloading, and for runtime actually it is achieved in the method overriding whenever you are creating those object and call that particular method. That time, Java is going to decide to call which method. Okay, whether it's a child class method, or whether it is a parent class method. Okay, so I think you guys understood, right? This old method, which is the similar example that what we have done when we're discussing about overriding concept. So let's see now. In case of dynamic polymorphism, the method to call determined at whether it is a compile time or runtime. Dynamic polymorphism. Okay, that's correct. Okay. Okay. So when it comes to the polymorphism, okay, polymorphism is unavoidable in Java because overloading, overriding, extending classes all contribute to polymorphism at the end. Okay. Uh, so let's 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 have some quiz. Okay. Like on the Java on the polymorphism. Okay, couple of questions. So method overloading is, what is it? Static or dynamic method overloading is? Static. Okay, that's correct. And yeah, and the next one is, I have a class, one example here. Okay, let me know which one, it is. Okay, on the top I have an animal class which is having say hello, okay, which is having a method in it, and I'm having a kangaroo class which is extending that animal, okay, and you see there is a method that which got overridden, okay. Now, okay, perfect, it's true, okay, okay. So if you see here, I just have one example of a man, okay. So whether this real world example is suitable for polymorphism, is it true or false? Okay, so this is the first definition that we learned about when we are in the polymorphism. So different forms, okay, different forms, okay. In the real world, actually, we learned about moon, okay. So moon can be viewed in different forms when we are like watching it from the earth, right? So similarly, it is like the same person is having different type of roles, okay, and different type of operation that we are performing depending on the like husband, father, son, brother, and employee. So we are doing different actions based upon those different types. So it is comes under polymorphism. Okay, so yeah, so to summarize the polymorphism is a way to perform a single action in different ways. Okay, and it has both static and dynamic polymorphisms. So static polymorphism, also known as compile time polymorphism, and we achieve this through method overloading. And the second one, dynamic polymorphism, or we call it as runtime polymorphism, and it is also achieved with method overriding. Okay, so any questions on polymorphism? This is going to be very useful, whenever you write some programs, okay, in certain scenarios, okay. So any questions? No. Okay, let us go for the next topic, abstraction. Okay, so when you hear this abstraction, okay, I always remember one example that we always do it. So driving a car, okay, so there are many things that happens behind the car, okay, but what we will see, to drive a car, we'll see, couple of things. Okay, one is, you will accelerate, and you can apply brakes, and you can shift gears, okay, and you can turn the steering to move. Okay, this is what we do, right? Do you ever think like about the car engine, right? you know the car engines, what exactly it does, which produces the energy to move on vehicle ahead. But do you really need it? Okay, so you don't require what exactly is happening in the car engine, right? So what we just focus on the things which are important while driving. So knowing how engine works won't help you, right? So you remember that important stuff and forget about the background details. So that is what we exactly call as abstraction. So you can forget what exactly how engine runs and everything, but you just, concentrate on those things, where to put the key and how to start your car and how to run it, and how to you know put it in the first gear, second gear, and third gear, and how to do all those things. Those are very important. Okay, so you have to learn them, to drive a car, right? So, but you don't require to learn something, really about engine when you wanted to run a car or anything, right? So, hiding those unnecessary details from the client and giving what exactly you need, okay, to perform some action. So, which is called as abstraction. Okay, so abstraction is a process of hiding the implementation details from the user and providing only the functionality, okay, which is used by him. Okay, and in other words, abstraction is a process of hiding background details and focusing on the essential details. Okay, so this way the user will know the answer to what, but not the how of it. Okay, so this can also be viewed as a data hiding or only showing the essential details. Okay, so yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, so every single person, okay, who is using a software does not need to view all the admin panel and and also the code of it, right? So okay, so generally we achieve some kind of security with the abstraction. Okay, so let's see what is an abstraction. What did you understand? Right, the process of hiding background details and focusing on the essential details. Process of displaying the same things in different ways. None of the above. Okay, so you have, okay, two is the right answer. Okay, yeah. Okay, so how do you implement abstraction, right? Okay, so in Java, abstraction can be achieved using interfaces, okay, and abstract classes. Okay, so an abstract class is an incomplete class. To use it, we need to extend it. So extending that abstract class makes it complete. Okay, why it makes, why we are talking about incomplete and complete, right? We will understand that when we go with an example. Okay, an abstract class is declared using abstract keyword. Okay, and an abstract class may or may not contain abstract methods. Okay, an abstract method is a method without a body. Okay, so you will see all these things whenever you declare a method as an abstract. You don't require to add anything, any implementation logic for that method. So it has to be like implemented in the extended class. Like, if you want, if somebody is extending abstract class, they have to implement that method. Okay, so it is only declared in an abstract class and defined in the class which extends the abstract class. Okay, so a class which has at least one abstract method needs to be declared as an abstract class. Okay, so if you have one abstract method in your class, then you have to forcefully declare your class as an abstract class. Okay, so similarly, it looks something like this. An example: public abstract class name is, the declaration part of, a class. Okay, with an abstract keyword. So there are no differences while writing a class, an abstract class, The only addition is what we are doing. We are adding that abstract keyword. Okay. We can extend, yeah, we can extend this abstract class the same way how we extended the normal classes. So public class, any class extends that class name. Okay. So an abstract method is a method which only have the declaration of the method. So the definition of the method contained by the child class extending the class, right? So containing the abstract method. So to declare the abstract method, we use the same keyword called abstract. So if you see the below, public, abstract, return type, and method name. Okay. So this is, we have uh, public abstract, return type. So the implementation of the method can be done in any of the class which is extending this abstract class. Okay. So abstract classes can be inherited the same way the same way we inherit, you know, classes in Java. Is that correct? How you are going to extend abstract class, which is in the same way that we do whatever we do it in the inheritance concept, like extends, or it is a different way? Is it true or false? Okay. Guys, if you have any questions, or anything, if you don't understand, do let me know. I'll just repeat that. Okay. Try to answer these things so it will improve your, you know, like, it will improve your things, and I will know that you understand the concept whatever we are saying, whatever we covered today. Okay, so it is true, that's correct. And what are the two ways that using which abstraction can be implemented? So there are two ways that we can achieve this abstraction things. Okay, that's correct. 1 and 3, interfaces and abstract classes. A class containing an abstract method must be declared as an abstract. Is it true or false? Okay, good. That's true. And which of the following statements are correct with respect to the abstract methods? So first statement is, an abstract method is a method which only has declaration of the method. Okay, the first one is true or false. So we need to check it. And the second method, I'm going second option, an abstract method can be defined and declared at the same time. Is that true? And the third option is, to declare an abstract method, use the keyword called abstract is used. Okay, and the definition of the abstract method lies in the child class. That is correct. 1, 3, 4 is the right answer. Okay, to summarize what exactly we learned today. So an abstraction is a process of hiding the background details and focusing on the essential details. Okay, and in Java, abstraction can be achieved in two ways. One is interfaces and the other one is abstract class. Okay, and while writing an abstract class or an abstract method, the keyword abstract is used. Okay, an abstract method is a method without a body, and it is only declared in an abstract class and defined in the class which extends this abstract class. Okay, now let's see what is encapsulation. Okay, so you have imagine that the symbol that you are seeing, the photo you are seeing. Okay, you have a water bottle which is filled with water up to the top. Okay, so there are two marbles present inside the water bottle. Can you pull those marbles out without spilling the water? Okay, we cannot, right? Like, we cannot, just get those marbles out, with our hand without spilling that water out, right? So if I have a pair of tongs, okay, so how, you can do that, right? With the tong, with the help of tongs, we can pull the marbles, okay, out of the, that bottle, right? So the same way, encapsulation is a concept, okay, in the object-oriented programming, which describes the idea of bundling variables and methods together. Okay, yeah. So the variables are declared as private, okay, and the methods to access them as a public, okay, so that they can be accessed from the outside of the classes. Then only these methods can be used to set or get the values of variables. Okay, I think we saw these things in the private access modifier whenever we are discussing that program today morning, right? Sorry, just now, just before. Okay, just before an hour, right? So that time actually we were talking about the private related variable which is declared, and we were trying to access them using a getter and setter method. Okay, so then only these methods can be used to set or get values, okay, of the variables. So encapsulation provides a protected space for a data member and restrict access outside, you know, outside the class. Okay, let me go back to the example now. Okay, so why I took a glass and marbles example with the full of water in it. Okay, so the marbles, whatever you see inside the bottle, treat them as a private, marbles. Okay, so if you want to take out one of the marble outside without touching the water, is it possible for us? No, right? So if we have two tongs, okay, the two tongs, we can put it in the water and we can retrieve, like, we can, pull one of the marble outside of that bottle. Okay, so that means, so we are having two tongs, which is helping us, to pull a private values. Okay, private values which are there inside the bottle. You are using one setter method or getter method, to pull that value from, you know, that particular bottle. So similarly, encapsulation does the same thing. Okay, you have a class which is having a private values in it, and this encapsulation topic covers, like, how to set a bean and how to get a bean, from the uh, sorry, set a, setter and, getter. Okay, so it is going to give you back, the required details, or, whatever you have it in the method. Okay, so it is going to give you those details. Okay, so this is one of the example which we can achieve the encapsulation. which we already saw it, okay, in the morning, sorry, in the today's session when we are starting about private related example. So there's a class called student, and we have two private members. One is string name and the other one is roll number. And we were able to set those values using public methods, set name and set roll number. These are the two methods that we are trying to set the private values which are there in the class. Okay. We can call these methods and the pass values. Okay. So the same way. Okay. So we were going to use the new name and roll number, to pass those values to the private data variables. Okay. Okay, what I'll do, I'll just cover this encapsulation, in the next class. Okay, and we can see more examples, with the encapsulation. Okay, guys, have any question? Let me know now. Otherwise, we can, end the session.